Good evening, Julien. How is Paris this lovely evening?
Good morning, Max. How are you doing? Where are you now? You're back home, right? San Francisco. How is it today?
Yes. It's lovely. Sun is shining, bright blue. I'm south, so for all I know, it's miserably cold and foggy in the city proper. But down here, it's couldn't ask for a nicer day.
Perfect. Does it mean you also have a nice story to tell us today or not?
I have a story. I don't know where the story's going to go. I have a very disappointing but fair story to tell.
Disappointing but fair. Wow. Okay.
So we have a group of friends that we go to concerts with, and there is a concert venue nearby. It's at a winery. It's an outdoor bowl up in the hills with beautiful views. It's just the greatest place to see a concert. And every year they announce their season. The season runs from like April through October, into November even a little bit. I guess through October. And they have, the series of concerts, and everything goes on sale one day. And so I was the guy this year to try to get the tickets. And I have my little browser open, and there was two shows. There was Elvis Costello and Van Morrison that everybody agreed those were the ones we wanted to go to. And those are both names that will sell out very quickly, regardless of whether any of them mean anything to you. So I had them, and tickets went on sale at 10. So at about 10 to 10, I got in and I got all set up, and I suddenly realized I could go ahead and get in the queue already. So I got in the queue, and that was the queue for the queue. And then they opened up the queue, and they had a little, visual thing showing you where you were, not where you were in line, but they had a little guy that walked forward as you got to the point where you could get your tickets. And the Elvis Costello, in 4 minutes, I was ordering and buying the tickets. The Van Morrison was just sitting there waiting. And eventually I got in, and I went through the process. And when I got to the point of tickets, there were no more tickets. So, and it wasn't an unfair thing. It was like 2 clicks to get to the point where it told you there were no. It wasn't like I had to put in all my information or anything. And then they added a show for Van Morrison about a month later, and I jumped in again. Got figured out who wanted the tickets. Got in. This time I actually got to the point where I put in the number I wanted and pressed order, and then it said. So I might have been close enough that I just literally, I was like the first guy who didn't get tickets. And I mean, that sucked, but I was thinking about it, and the way to manage tickets, it wasn't bad. I had it turned out, what I learned for the second time, which did me no good, was the tickets went on sale at 10. You could get in the queue for the queue at 9:30. So I had the second time I knew the game. I was in at the right time. It didn't work out, but okay. And it got me thinking about buying tickets before the internet. And I remember there were big concerts that I wanted to go to, and there was a big Ticketmaster, and they distributed all the tickets, and some of their legacy holds to this day. Ridiculous surcharges put on the tickets for absolutely no value whatsoever. Initially what you would do is usually it was the record stores. You'd go get in the queue at the record store, and you'd buy it. And there were literally people who would wait overnight for the big concerts and things like that. And that's how you got tickets. And, it was painful, but it was kind of fun. I don't think I ever waited overnight, but I'd go at Zero Dark 30 and get the tickets. And then the Grateful Dead kind of rebelled against this because it was, they had no control over the tickets or anything like that. And everybody, all their fans hated the surcharges and they hated the surcharges. So, and there were people who traveled to see them and you couldn't go wait in line at a local record store because it wasn't at the local record store. So they actually took over their own ticket distribution. And what they would do is, it was a crazy process. You had to, you had to write out a thing saying, I want so many tickets, blah, blah, blah. And then you had to go get a check, a cashier's check from the post office. I guess you could do it from a bank too, but I always went to the post office. You had to go get a cashier's check for just the right amount. You had to put all that in an envelope and mail it off. And then you were basically in a lottery because they would get, they had like a 3-day window you could mail it or whatever. And then, they'd have 10,000 tickets and they'd get 100,000 requests. So, decent percent of that. It was probably not quite that bad of a ratio, but it was, about a third of the time you'd get tickets and the other times you wouldn't. And I just remember thinking that was such a better process than what it was before, because you had one day you had to be in a specific place and it just was so painful. And they also didn't, there was a surcharge, but there was a surcharge for the work they did. It wasn't, here's $18 for 42 cents of work on our part. And it just struck me, A, how interesting it was what they decided to do. B, that it actually was better, as painful and ridiculous as that process sounds. And C, how much, this is a case where the internet has just made customer experiences infinitely better, just infinitely better. And, I lost out, but at least I lost out in the comfort of my room. I was between meetings, so I was able to actually, I was on a meeting. I was just doing it in the background. And, so that's the whole story. I don't know where this goes or what it means, but it struck me how much things have changed around this.
Well, you started your story saying that's about a concert, and immediately in my head I had, well, that's going to be a ticket issue because you had that last time where you tried to get in the concert, could not print the ticket, and then it was in a winery, and then I had this other pop-up. Whoa, this guy bought another $20,000 bottle in France because he got bullied into buying it. But that's neither of the stories. So great. I've never experienced that. Meaning, I'm actually very surprised. I love the way you tell that story because they kind of replicate online the experience of waiting in line you would get in a store, which I'm very... I don't know how I feel about it. I love the fact that they thought through how to build an experience online that replicates what you would have in the real life, but they also kind of take the entire pain. They kind of kill the whole purpose of having internet, which is to not have a line. So it's an interesting concept they've built here. You're saying they are expensive. They could, usually speaking, you get overcharged for something, but ultimately the right price is the price that people are willing to pay. So if they are sold out within 1 day or less than 1 day, it means the price must not be that off. In the end. But there are multiple small things which I'd like to uncover with you, because I'm wondering whether it is poor customer experience because it was not built properly, or if it's poor customer experience by design, because when you have some kind of a monopoly, which is to some extent what they have here, because they own all the tickets and you have to go through that specific process, that's kind of a monopoly, right? And I'm wondering if they designed it that way because that makes it more rare, more exceptional, and therefore deserves higher prices.
Well, I think it is rare and exceptional because your supply and demand is
unbalanced.
The reason Van Morrison sold out in less than 5 minutes is there were that many people in the queue. I mean, so they're a piece of this is managing a flood of demand. And back in the day where you had to do that physically, that could be really horrid and painful. I did. I enjoyed watching the little guy walk forward. It was kind of a thing, but it is interesting to say, is that really the experience you want to recreate? But
exactly, because and again, I'm thinking that's probably by design. They make it on purpose because you would not go through that much pain of recreating that painful process if it was not by design. But there are a few things that could be done differently to offer a better customer experience. Like, for example, you put all the concerts on sale the same day, but truly there are some concerts you've probably scheduled already 6 months ago. So you could give to whoever has an account on your website or receives your newsletter or is, I don't know, paying a $20 fees a year to be a premium member of some sort. Those people could have like pre-booking or know a day ahead of the others.
So they used to have something like that. I don't know if they still do. Because we were buying tickets as a group, a couple times I was the one buying the tickets, and I ended up buying enough tickets that I was preferred, and I did get they had a pre-sale day. So they have done that in the past. We've kind of spread around buying of the tickets, so I don't know if now we just don't have enough volume to qualify for that, or if they just don't do it. And I'm sure there's, they have it wired in terms of add on things and add on things and add on things. So I'm sure if they're still doing that, there's some sort of club you could buy into.
Because I'm thinking when you sell everything on the same day, obviously you make an event out of it. So that's probably a good buzz. And at the same time, you're probably overwhelming your server. Therefore, you need to get your tech to support. I have no idea how many people we're talking about, but probably a few thousand at least. And therefore, that's heavy burden on your server. You need to build that for just one day a year. Sounds like much work for not much outcome. I would personally prefer to have first come, first serve, but you never know when it's going to come. So either you tell your best customers ahead of time so that they get that prime VIP thing we talked about, or is just if you check our website regularly enough, then you're going to get the tickets that people that don't come very often on our website won't get, so that you build that top of mind personal relationship with your customers. That could be another interesting thing.
Well, you mentioned the event thing, and that's very much what they do.
Okay.
There's 2 weeks-ish before they go on sale, big email flood. Hey, here's the season, and it's in the newspaper. Not that anybody reads the newspaper, but it's, and there's all these ways you can get it, and there's ads, and you look through all the show. Oh, I like these guys. I don't like these guys. And and that works. I mean, our little group of friends, we have fun saying, "Oh, I want to go to this show, and I want to go to that show," and stuff. So
then, in
that's
this case,
very much.
The only thing I would change, so assuming all of this is built by design and it's painful, but it's part of the game. The only thing I would probably change, and again, might be by design, they know that you've tried to buy. They know you were disappointed because you could not buy. Now there is a new concert coming up a month later. Why don't you have a preferred spot? Because you've lined up already. Why do you have to go in the same pool as everyone else and not get a VIP treatment? It could be just, you start an hour before the others. If you miss it, then your problem. You missed it. But you've lined up once. You've shown that you're interested. You've tried very hard. And why not give you a slightly different experience from the rest of the world who probably did not wait the first time?
That's a genius idea, because the other piece of that is, to your other point about the servers all getting overloaded, that's here's 10% of the people that I'm just going to give a different time, and that's 10% of the load I don't have to manage.
Exactly. And that's still an event.
That makes a ton of sense.
And you can probably make additional revenue by having, back to the first topic, but having annual subscription. A small one, but for thousands and thousands of people, if you pay us $5 a month or $20 a year, whatever the number should be.
Yeah.
But you get a small, you get 20 minutes earlier in the queue or whatever.
It's $50 a year, and you get to go in the better parking lot.
Exactly.
And a couple simple things like that, and you're a VIP.
And that's a win-win at the end of the day, because the customers feel they're special. You're getting additional revenue, because the way you present it, it really feels like they better not screw it up. They better not have their server down on that day, because 90% of the yearly revenue is coming on that day. So it's never bad to have a ongoing revenue throughout the year, even though you have your big sale on that specific day.
And I'll bet the ticket selling thing is a third party, and that venue's load is nothing compared to some of the others. When Elton John puts his tour on sale or something like that.
Probably right.
Probably, I think probably that the capacity piece is probably very manageable because that's spread across a whole bunch of venues.
But just so we clear, sending a check by post with a list of the tickets I want, never in my life. Whatever the singer, whatever the band, not gonna happen. That's too painful an experience for me to go through.
So Julien, note to self: Julien would never have made it as a deadhead.
Would not work for me, definitely. Well, do you feel any better? Do you feel like we've probably brought some good advice or recommendations here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wasn't sure where this story was going to go, but I think I like where you took it, which was, okay, the experience today, how could that be better? How does that rank up? And again, I mean, I didn't have to go to the post office. I didn't have to wait in line overnight. I found out very quick. I was disappointed, but I was disappointed very quickly and efficiently. So I didn't have a lot of complaints about it, but I think you're right. There are a number of things they could do to make it better, some of which they may be doing, and I'm just not taking advantage of.
And just another idea, I have to throw it there just because it passed through my mind. There are so many, actually, you're not a customer, or you were a customer, but you're kind of a prospect in that specific situation for that concert, right? You're a prospect, a disappointed prospect because you could not be a customer.
Right.
And that's money that they're not making. I think if that were me, I would probably try to throw something in like, look, you could not get in the concert, but first of all, we'll let you know if there is another concert happening. But also, hey, here is 25% discount on buying their latest, what is it these days? CD? Does that still exist? MP3 downloaded from whatever it is you use these days to get music. I'm becoming a boomer at this point, but
yeah, that's part of the challenge, right? It's like here's a subscription to the streaming service. Go get them.
Probably,
I think I like where you're going, but I would probably do it a little differently, just because it's really the venue that's managing the ticket sales. So I think it would be more: here's the 3 acts that are the people who bought this one also bought that one. Here's the top 3 of those. These are still for sale. Interested in any of these? Here's a 25% discount or something like that. Especially because there's a lot of those that are never going to sell out. So why not do something like that?
That's very smart. You probably worked for Amazon at some point in your life, but that is very smart. Absolutely.
Well, I bought things from Amazon.
I hope, yeah, definitely. Who did not? I don't know if I should say, do you feel better? Because you got 1 concert out of 2, which is not a bad thing already. But do you feel good about telling that story?
It was good to get it off my chest. It was good to share it. I appreciate the insights. I think it drove a good conversation.
Perfect. Then I will still see you next week, right?
Yes, we will do that.
I'll have the story
for
you
then. And you gotta bring something for us next week.
Let me figure that out. Thank you so much, Max. Have a beautiful day.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Julien. Take care.
Bye.